in your product bag. Suburban summer serving.
Hi guys! Today I am filming on my iPhone because I have always not wanted to film on my phone because I'm like, oh, like the quality. But I've been watching, I believe her name is Ali Sophia. At least that's her name on Instagram. But I've been watching her and she is literally, she seems so fun. I really like her vibe and I like how fun she is on camera, and she uses her iPhone and she's inspiring me to just say, screw it, I'm gonna use my phone and also be more me on camera. So that's what I'm doing. As for what I'm doing in the video, I have recently moved into a new apartment. I don't know, I may end up making a video about that eventually. I was in a really bad rut over the past year and I'm finally just now getting back out of it, to be honest. So I want to get back into making videos, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to make. But today I've been really trying to get into baking and cooking. And I've learned how to cook different things over the past year, but I haven't really gotten to bake because in my last apartment, there wasn't a whole lot of room. My new apartment has a lot of room in the kitchen. So I want to make something, and it's the summer, so I want to make themed summer baked goods. I am planning on making scones today. I used to work like a bakery and cafe, and we used to make scones all the time, and people loved them. I loved them. We made blueberry, mixed berry, chocolate chip. We made everything, and I really, really want to try making them myself because they're actually delicious. So I found a recipe on, I think it's Preppy Kitchen. I don't know what it's called, and I'm going to try following that recipe. So that's the plan. So let's go do that, and yeah, I can't wait to have a scone. Little update. I picked up all of this stuff that I need for the scones. I'm going to use frozen blueberries and not fresh because I went to Walmart and they had fresh blueberries, but they were all mushy. I got frozen. I'm going to attempt to do that. We'll see how it goes. I got 2 bags. They were on sale. I got 2 bags of Brookside chocolates. These are my favorite. And you know what's so weird? You know, if you watch a TV show, or at least this is what I do. If I binge a TV show, I associate a feeling with that time period. I had these sweet potato crackers. I ate those with hummus and Brookside chocolate while watching the TV show You. So now that I'm eating this again, it's I can remember the feelings and I'm remembering the show. Isn't that so weird? It is now 2:10, so I'm just going to light a candle, bake my scones, and I'm gonna have a great time. This lighting is really bad, but I'm gonna go and make that and I'll get back to you on how they are. So I have my scones done, not in the oven. The recipe says to stick them in the freezer for 20 minutes. So that's what I just did. And now it's just to brush on some more cream and then sprinkle with sugar. I don't have a brush to put it on with, so I'm just gonna use this. Ta-da! So I'm just gonna try to brush this on. I can't really do it properly without the brush, but this works. Sure. Now I'm going to sprinkle on a little bit of sugar. They also use, I don't know the actual name of it, but the big pieces of sugar. I don't have that, so I'm just gonna do this and it'll be just as good. So I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes and then we'll see what they're like. I'm so excited. I've been talking about making scones to my friends for 3 weeks. So I'm excited for this to be done. So I'm gonna pop them in the oven and then I'll get back to you. It is 1:30 in the morning. I need to go to bed, but I am very much awake. I got this top today. You can't even really see it, but I got a new top today. And I wanted to give an update on the books that I was reading. So the book that I have been reading is Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. And I finished this 2 days ago. All I can say is, wow. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And I don't think this is a book for everybody in the sense of, I think it's an incredible book. However, if you are not a music nerd like myself, you may not enjoy it as much because quite honestly, a lot of this book is about certain songs and music history and stuff like that. So if you're not into that, you may not be into this book, but I eat that stuff up so much. So that was like my favorite part of the book. And the amount of music recommendations was crazy. She actually has shown me music I have never heard of before, and I have since been listening to nonstop. One specifically is the song Someone Great by LCD Sound System. The way that she talks about that song in the book, I was like, I need to listen to it. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh wow, this song is incredible. So I haven't been listening to that nonstop. But anyway, I will also say I think it is kind of marketed as like a love story. I mean, it says it there, a love story about two people. I would say the love story is secondary to a story about a girl who is finding her way in her 20s in the early to late 2000s. Or like the entire 2000s, basically, yeah. I was very little in that time period. I was born in 2002, so I only remember pieces of it, but this book makes me feel like I was there for the culture and the music. It's like one of those books. It's like Stranger Things. This is the best way I can compare it, okay? Stranger Things, you watch it and you're nostalgic for this time period that you weren't even around for. Born in 2002, Stranger Things makes me like long for the 80s, and I was not there for it in any way. That's how I feel about this book, to be honest with you. That it's like, gosh, like I'm nostalgic for it. And also another big part of this book that drew me in is I went to university. I graduated last year, and the beginning of this book starts in UC Berkeley, I think. The way college and university is talked about in the book brought me back to that, and it reminded me of like the vibe of you don't really know what's going on in university or college, but everyone around you also doesn't know what's going on. So you're just in this, like, you're all connected by this sense of like confusion and being kind of lost, but also the most free you've ever been, and it's really scary. And so yeah, I love this book. I gave it like a 4.25. And so my next book, because I was going to continue with like the romance theme, I was going to read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I changed my mind last minute, and I'll explain why in a second. And the reason I want to read Love and Other Words, that may be my next book, is because when I read Every Summer After 2 years ago, I fell in love with that book. I read it in like 2 days, which is really fast for me. I loved it up until the very end, and then I was like, okay, what is going on? But I liked every other part of it up to that. And I've heard that Every Summer After is actually kind of really similar to a book that was released before that called Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. So I really want to read that one. However, I was talking to a coworker about books, and she said that she hasn't read many books recently, but one that she read a long time ago that she really loved was The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. She said that she had read this, and I've seen clips of the movie everywhere. I haven't like actually watched it. I don't know exactly what happens throughout the entire book. I pretty much know the end, which is kind of sad, but I told her I had never read it and that I really wanted to read it and watch the movie. And so she actually she came up to me. She walked up to me in person and handed to me a book. She came up to me and she handed me The Lovely Bones, and she was like, there you go, now you can read it. And she told me to take my time. I started it yesterday evening, and I've been working both nights to close, and I'm on page 58 right now. And to be honest, this is the fastest I've gotten into a book in a really long time. Even when I was reading Stephen King, I love reading those novels. However, it still took me a while to like get into it. This book from the first page had me in a chokehold. It felt like when I was young and I read The Hunger Games for the first time, and I just sat in a hammock swing and read the entire thing in one day. It's giving me the same, this is a very quick read vibe, even though I haven't gotten through that much of it yet. Literally the only reason is because I've been working or like out and about doing things that I've needed to be doing. If you don't know what this book is about, I don't know how to give a synopsis about it because it's a little bit dark. It's about a girl who was murdered in like the 1970s. The story is from her point of view after she dies, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to say anything else about it. If you want to know anything more about it, you can look it up. I don't really know what I expected, but to be honest, it's not what I'm reading right now. These are the two books that I've had going on lately. I really want to have like a reader girl summer where I'm just reading all the time. And I'm doing like a decent job of that, actually. Not like great, not like I used to be, but couple years ago, I ordered like 6 romance novels on Amazon and read them really quickly. So I associate that summer with like sitting down and reading all the time. So I'm kind of hoping that that's what happens now because I love that vibe. I love it so much. And I've been baking. I know I showed you guys that I bake scones, but then literally like 3 days later, I baked sugar cookies because I woke up and I was like, I really want some cookies. I'm gonna make some. So I made some sugar cookies. I have some frozen so that I can have some for a long time. I think I actually need to properly get ready for bed. I've been breaking out a little bit and I need to get my sunscreen and everything off my face so that I don't continue to break out because that is not cool. I just want to talk about this for a second. This is going to be my recipe book, and in it was June 10th, 2024 that I started eating roasted sweet potato at home. I made it and then I immediately thought, wow, I'd love to like have my own recipe book that like I write my recipes in, and then when I'm older then I get to look back on this and see like when I had everything. I always forget the food that I really like and that I make. This way, if I write it down, I know I enjoy it, and if I'm wondering what to have for my supper, I can just look in here and find something that I really enjoy. I write down everything, even if it seems really dumb. So like my sweet potato, I've made it so many times, I don't really need to look at this ever. But even how to saute carrots, I have it in here. I have how to saute broccoli. I have how to oven roast like frozen broccoli and stuff. Like when I made the scones, I wrote the recipe down in here. My scones fit all onto those 2 pages. Like how cute is that? Granted, I don't have very much in it right now, but eventually I will. And I have more that I need to write down in it currently. I just haven't gotten around to that. If ever you want something to do, write down all the recipes that you enjoy. Also, as a young adult, it's just really helpful because as a young adult, you're learning all these new skills on how to cook. If you make something, then you'll remember that you know how to make it. Or if you make it and you made like a tweak to it, you can write it down in here rather than looking at the recipe online and forgetting what you did to it before. So yeah, and also it's just like, as a young adult, you're gonna make some things that are gonna be more difficult to make. And then there are gonna be some things that you're like, oh, I could have this just as like an easy everyday thing, but you'll forget about it. I mean, if you're like me, you'll forget about it. And if it's in here, you can just be like, oh, I wanna have something. What ingredients do I have on hand? And it's in this. Sorry, that's just like, it's so random, but I'm just saying because I really enjoy it and I think it is actually beneficial and helpful to my life. So sorry if you can hear my dishwasher. I'm sitting on the floor of the kitchen while I wait for muffins to bake. But I'm gonna be really honest with you. These cinnamon rolls sucked. I don't know if I needed it too much, but oh my god, they were disgusting. So I'm not gonna give you the recipe for that. Ew. Now you know. Hello again. Update. I have finished The Lovely Bones. I'm also wearing my Barney t-shirt. I'm having a great night. I gave this book a 3.2 out of 5. Let me explain this book. I'm not going to talk about this book a whole lot because I don't want to give it away, and also I feel like it's kind of a hard book to talk about without giving a bunch of stuff away. I think the book was overall good. The writing style bothered me a little bit. Some of it honestly confused me. And not exactly in a way of like, oh, I don't really understand what's going on. It was like I don't really understand what you're trying to say with this. And also, I don't really understand what the point of this line of dialogue or this paragraph that you've written is for. And it could have been left out, to be honest. That kind of took me out of it at the end because I was like, oh my goodness, it feels like it just keeps going. The book wasn't boring though. Like, I enjoyed reading it, and to me it went very quickly. I've had the past 2 days off, and yesterday I started reading this like probably 4 in the afternoon, and between then to about 2 hours ago I read the last half of the book. I didn't read it like the whole time, obviously. I went to bed and I got up this morning and I wasn't reading until about 2 o'clock. Yeah, I had it done by 8 o'clock today. The one thing that really bugged me is at the end, there is something that happens that is just kind of like, it just was weird and kind of out of place to me personally. Like the rest of it all felt very natural to me, flowed well for the most part. But there's this one part, and if you've read it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, that I read and I was like, I could have done without that. It was just a little strange. That, yeah. I do think the overall like messages in the book are pretty good and pretty helpful. Not to get too deep right now, but as someone who has dealt with actually like a decent amount of grief so far in my life, I liked how grief was portrayed, in that it's different in everybody and everyone handles it very personally. I found that was well written about. A few of the messages surrounding grief and how it's okay to grieve, those messages were very nice to me. It made me tear up a few times, to be honest, and I was just like, okay, like this is the point of this book, and just about life in general. I liked it. But yeah, there were a couple parts specifically near the end where I was like, why did you put that in there? You could have went this entire book and never did this, and we would have been well off. That's the one gripe I have about it. I'm trying to think of like anything else that I read in it that I'm either bothered by or that I particularly really loved. I will say that in the book, when there are any highs, like good things happening in people's lives, I liked how they were written and the details that were chosen to be focused on. All the characters felt pretty real. But yeah, I was going to watch this movie now that I'm done, but you can't find it anywhere right now without having to rent it, and I'm not doing that. One day I'll see it, and I'll be like, oh, it's the movie for this book. I would recommend that you read it if you have any interest in it. It's a very quick read. It's just not my personal favorite book in the world. It's kind of tricky. It's one of those books that you read and you're like, I don't really know how to feel about it. That's my review. I would recommend just looking up like what the book is kind of about, what is included in the book, like trigger warnings and stuff. I would recommend that you look that up, because I can see this making some people upset just because of how heavy of a topic it is. You get me? You get me? You feel me? And that's the end of this video. If you like it, I would recommend subscribing, because I have a very big book that I'm reading next, and I'm making an entire video dedicated to it. And if you want a hint, I say the name of the book in my last video where I read Stephen King, so maybe that's a bit of a hint, a bit of a clue. I'm gonna go and read, and I will catch you guys in the next one.